enthusiastically endorses Read Across America and recommits our community to engage in programs and activities to make America's children the best readers in the world. Now, therefore, I, Susan Cohn, Mayor of the Township of Manalapan, do hereby proclaim March 2nd as Read Across America Day. In witness whereof, I have unto set my hand and caused the seal of Manalapan Township to be affixed on this 22nd day of February 2012. And I will be reading with my grandson at that time. Okay, it is now time for our Township Committee reports. Deputy Mayor, would you like to start us off?
I have no committee report this evening, Mayor.
Thank you. And Committeeman Green?
Thank you. Just one item tonight. As anyone who follows our meetings know, and who read the newspaper in Manalapan, we are currently amending our master plan, or we're in the process of considering amending our master plan. And there have been various articles and attention in the press. And there has been something that I just want to clarify for the record. I don't imagine it will get any high level of coverage, but for those of you here tonight and those of you who may be watching on MTTN, I do want to clarify the point just so that the truth is out there. There has been some insinuation that the Planning Board has not taken public comment on this issue. And I'd like to clarify for the record that that is false. The process of amending the master plan began in October, this past October, so upwards of 4 months ago. And when this issue first came to the Planning Board, the only issue really being discussed was automobile sales agencies on Route 9. And when that issue came up, we heard public comment at public meetings on October 27th, November 10th, and December 8th. So there were 3 separate planning board meetings where public comment was taken regarding amendments to the master plan. What the planning board did at that point was what it should have done. It listened to the residents, it took into consideration what was said, and the planning board opted to expand its analysis. And we asked our township planner, Mr. Richard Kramer, to do a more detailed analysis of all the zones on Route 9 and all the zones of Route 33 to see what those possibilities might be. Mr. Kramer's report was not available until January 26th. That's when it was completed. Now, by law, and I will emphasize by law, the planning board cannot take public comment on that report until it's accessible to the public for 10 days. So yes, during the meetings in January, we could not take any public comment on that report because it was not done. Once the report was completed on January 26th, it was made available for public review for a minimum of 10 days, and that brought us to our last meeting, which was in February. At that meeting, we had 3 full hours of public comment. So in all, since this process began in October, we've had, I would estimate, over 10 hours of public comment regarding the master plan, and that number is only going to go higher because we do have a planning board meeting tomorrow where we will be taking public comment again. So lest anyone be concerned that the people don't have an opportunity to speak about this issue, there have been ample opportunities since October to do that, and I certainly, on behalf of the planning board and the township committee, want to thank all those people who have come out to all these meetings and continue to give input. It's great to see so many people involved in the process. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Committeeman Master.
Thank you, Mayor. Manalapan Recreation would like to remind parents of the upcoming Summer Recreation Open House on Tuesday, February 28th at 7 p.m. in the Manalapan High School Auditorium. The open house will discuss the changes in this summer's camp program. Summer recreation registration will begin at 9 a.m. on Thursday, March 8th. Registrations will be accepted by mail, in person, or you can do it online. This year, the program will accept no more than 1,200 participants for the 7-week program, and it fills up very quickly. So if you intend on doing it, I would make sure you do it as soon as possible. The holiday egg hunt is being planned for Saturday, March 24th at 11 a.m. in the Manalapan Rec Center. That's all I have. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Committeeman Lucas.
Thank you, Mayor. This evening I just have one item. It's regarding some complaints that the mayor and I received from quite a few residents regarding two new billboard signs that were on Route 9. If anyone has seen them, they're quite large, and the mayor and I have been kindly pointing out to those complainants that those actually aren't in Manalapan, those are Marlboro, but it does bring up just a very quick point that I wanted to reiterate, which is the same company that put up those signs had sued Manalapan and Howell for similar grounds to put up signs like that here in our township. And I'd just like to thank the Township Committee for their measured response at the time, which saved tens of thousands of dollars in litigation fees by not going directly to court, and it also ultimately ended up with us prevailing and the company dismissing the suit and going away without new signs put up. So thank you, Township Committee. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. And for my reports, a few reminders. The Manalapan Englishtown Community Alliance is having a meeting on February 28, 2012 at 5:30 p.m. to learn about the dangers of prescription drug abuse. It will be held at the Manalapan Senior Center. For more information, you can call Lisa Harmon Malacone at 732-446-8417. At our last meeting, I spoke about the trails that our Department of Public Works was working on. We came under budget and now able to continue the work on the trails in the rec expansion. To best describe what was done, I'm going to read part of a letter sent to us from our Parks and Recreation Camp Running Supervisor. He's also the cross-country and track volunteer coach at Manalapan High School and a longtime Manalapan resident, Bob Andrews. The trails are used daily in our camp during the summer and also by our residents throughout the year. Mr. Andrews said that the trails were widened and leveled, the tree roots and ditches covered, and the wet areas were filled in with a foot of soil in combination with drainage piping. Our residents can now enjoy a smooth, soft surface walking, running trail set in the midst of nature. He also wanted to thank the Director of Public Works, Alan Spector, and our Recreation Superintendent, Mona Cholitsky, for a job well done. From our health officer, this is our final notice. All dog and cat licenses have expired as of January 31st for all cats and dogs that have to be relicensed for 2012. The health department is presently giving a grace period and will not impose a late fee until after February 29th. Also, again, the township will be fulfilling its biannual animal census obligation to look for unlicensed animals. This is going to start at the end of February. If you need any licensing information, please call 732-446-8345. Another reminder, our photo contest has started. The theme is Manalapan Appreciation of Where I Live, and the information of the contest can be found on our website on the homepage at www.mtnj.org or by visiting the Health Department. Freehold Regional High School District Board of Education will hold a public meeting on February 27th at 8 p.m. at Marlboro High School. And to all of you that have put in volunteer applications for our domestic violence team, we are currently working on setting up the new training schedule, and I will personally be reaching out to all of you to set up interviews for you. Thank you. We will now open the meeting to the public comment session, and I'm going to read our disclaimer. The Township of Manalapan Television Network will be videotaping this meeting for rebroadcast on MTTN Channel 77 on Cablevision and Channel 42 on Verizon Fios. By attending this meeting, attendees acknowledge this recording and agree to allow their image to be broadcast on MTTN Channel 77 and Verizon Fios Channel 42. All attendees and participants agree to conduct themselves in a manner appropriate for a public gathering. Inappropriate behavior or gatherings creating a disturbance or safety hazard are permitted inside this building. Individual speakers should be advised that no right of privacy protects a citizen's public comments made in a public forum. Any statements made by members of the public to promote or alter public opinion about a candidate for political office, a political party, or interest group are inappropriate and in violation of NTTN broadcast policies. Accordingly, all participants bear responsibility for their own statements and commentaries. Before we begin, I would like to review a comment that was made, or comments that were made by Ted Lindner at our last meeting. Can you just please read back the comments that he made?
Yes, Mayor.
Thank you.
Ted Linder had asked for an ordinance change to increase safety during garbage collection to prevent garbage trucks stopping facing the wrong way on a street while collecting garbage and backing up the wrong way on a street while collecting garbage. He also requested that they place the pails far enough off the road so that they don't blow into the road, specifically referencing Millhurst Road.
Okay, thank you. We met with Future Sanitation the next day, and they have assured us that they will speak with their drivers, and they have apologized to the residents. So far, no other complaints have come in, and we'll monitor it. Okay, the first person up is George Spodak, Mayor Spodak.
Mayor Cohen.
How are you?
Township Committee. It's good to see a change of face up at the dais. First, I'd like to present to Mr. Green a copy of a letter that I received from Raymond Costante. I received it 2 days ago. I can have it here. I believe, as an elected official, a former official, that you have to act when you get something like this in the mail. Nonfeasance. You have to act. And I think you should review this letter, let the committee look at it, the attorney. It's important, all right? I'll hand it to you. That was from a township president. 2, the WMUA appointment. I want to know the justification for having closed interviews to review the resume or whatever of these appointments. I don't think, under the Sunshine Law, there is justification for this. And these are paid, quasi-paid public officials. So I think you should interview these people in public, so everybody knows what's really going on. The best example I can give is the last few. It was a disaster, and everybody on this board knows it. Secondly, or thirdly, the master plan. The OP zone, the C1 zones. I want to ask everybody on this board, and be truthful, did you ever see a farmer, a developer, come before a board and ask for a zone change that wasn't interested in making more money for himself? Did he ever do it for the benefit of the town? Personally, I have never seen it, and I was on a committee for 9 years. They're always looking to enrich their pockets, and that's a fact. I'd like to thank the people who attended the master plan meeting, the planning board meeting last week. I can't pronounce some of these names, that's for sure. I'll do Rhoda, Beth Ann, Susan, Seth, and especially Diane Pablo. I know Diane for 30, 35 years, an honest person, a staunch member of the zoning board. She knows, and I respect her, what's going on in this town. And I'm proud to say, I'm proud to see her still on the board. When she said something, it's truthful, and I know it is. The thing is, with this plan that's going on with the master plan, there's a little trick involved here. You do a master plan, you rezone the town, but then you have this little shtick. You start hiding little things in parts of the uses of the zoning ordinance, like the OP zone, the C1 zone. This is what it's all about. I honestly believe that if you want to change the use of a zone, you go to the zoning board, not to the planning board. You can do it, but you should change it within the zoning board. And by the way, so people have to understand another thing. You are the ones, this township committee is the real board that votes on the master plan of this town. The planning board just recommends, and that's it. As far as the developer, Katina, and his attorney saying, guess what? I won't allow automobile service centers, car washes, or whatever. Ladies and gentlemen, he don't have it to give back to you. He didn't give it to him yet. So he's negotiating something he doesn't have. I think I'm correct in that. And that's what I came to speak about. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Susan, you crossed your name out? Yes.
I think it's at the bottom.
Oh, I see. Okay, sorry. David Finkelstein?
Good evening. First to Mr. Green, just so we have total clarity on your point. At every meeting that we have attended as the group of people talking about the master plan revision, we have been vocal about appreciating the opportunity to speak at the meetings. No one has ever insinuated that we did not get the opportunity to speak. What we have said is that we were disappointed that from December 8th till the meeting of February 9th, we did not get the opportunity to speak at meetings that were important to us. We understand some of the reasons why at a couple of the meetings, but we were disappointed not getting to speak specifically at 3 meetings. We appreciate the patience and the time that has been spent listening to us as a general statement. There are some questions that I wanted to ask tonight. In what format would signatures be accepted to change our system of public elections? We have been told at the planning board level that petitions are not an accepted legal document to be turned in. So we would like to know what is an accepted approach to gathering signatures in a petition. I would also like to know what is the procedure to introduce a proposal to the township requesting a revision to the master plan. If I wanted to suggest a revision to the master plan, how would I go about doing that? What would I need to do? I would also like to know the dates of any meetings between Manalapan officials, elected and appointed, and Katina Motors and its representatives in order to request the notes and transcripts from those meetings. We have been told that they could be available, but we would need to give the dates, and the only people who know the dates are the people who are at the meetings. So if there are meetings that have been held between township officials and Katina, I would like those dates so that we can go get the notes from those meetings, or the notes if you have them. The final question probably is all a part of the first. In going through the record of bills, there are from September 15th, 11 to February 15th, 12, $8,986.50 paid out on behalf of 200 Route 9 Ray Katina. There are from April 27, 2011 to February 15, 2012, $14,886.22 paid out to 299 Route 9 South U-Haul. And from July 22, 2010 to February 14, 2012, there's $30,597.88 paid out to Highway 9 and Sims Road. I'd like to know what I need to do to see the invoices of what services we provided for that money. So here are the sheets. I don't know what, again, I need to know what to do to get to those invoices. And as long as I am still on green, not you, but the light. I would like to, on behalf of Susan, who may or may not say this, respond, oh, I'm in yellow already. As far as I can get to a letter that was posted in the patch by Mr. Sonnenblick that we found to be personal, offensive, and a serious miscarriage of how we have been conducting ourselves through the process. When Katina Motors decided to change its application to a 60,000 square foot showroom, eliminating repairs in cars, that will certainly reduce traffic. All of the other congestion issues still remain. There'll still be unpoliced test drivers, there'll still be car carriers. A question is, can they just make that unilateral decision on a pending matter that involves a master plan change? Will they need to start over from scratch, or is that just a continuing process that they can change?
Sorry, sir, your time's up.
I thought so.
We understood the question. Okay. Gloria Close.
Hi, good evening. 2 meetings ago, I brought to your attention about the resolution adopted by the Freehold Borough Council relinquishing 100% their medical and dental benefits and their stipends. And you were not able to respond, and you said that you were going to get back to me.
We responded at the last meeting.
Unfortunately,
I will respond again.
Okay.
Not now, but at the end.
Okay. I just want also, you know, like, I believe the meeting, I guess you had only one meeting in December, the sitting council members voted among themselves to give them $7,500 stipend when, let's say, the Freehold Borough, that was what they approved. It was in the paper. In the Freehold Borough, they only get $3,500, but since they gave it up totally, that's not important anymore. But in the Marlborough, which is our next town, the council members are only getting $3,500 for their stipend, and the mayor gets $5,000. I don't know, you know, like, my thing is like, the council, like I said, you vote among yourself who will be the mayor, and you explained to me that we need 4,000 signatures so that it can be put to the public to make the decision. But then again, the stipend and all this kind, that really, for me, is a conflict, because you decide to give yourself a stipend and you vote among yourself, you know, so that you can get it. I think, I don't know, again, how the public can make a decision for that. So I'd like to know. And also a comment made by one of the council member, and he said that I believe he's the only one receiving now the full benefits, the full medical and dental. And I remember in the past, it was mentioned that if you're getting that one, you're willing to give up the other one, which is the stipend. But now I found out that the same council member is also receiving part of that stipend. So I'd like to, you know, to hear the explanation here. And I apologize, I wasn't here last meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Jerry Sonnenblick.
Thank you. Basically, I wasn't going to speak to that. The letter that was being referred to by that gentleman was a response to a letter that came from Susan. And all it was a response to that letter, which, if you ever read it in the patch, you read it in the patch. I didn't send it anywhere else. It was just that I thought it was a personal attack on an awful lot of people, and me in particular. So, having had enough years here, I said, hey, don't attack me. I'm the attorney for the applicant, and let's leave me out of this. But they weren't. And they said some pretty nasty things. But in any event, just so we all know, on August 26th, we wrote to the township, as you may recall, and said we are interested, which anybody here can do, and ask for a zoning change. That's something, that's the process. You have to ask for it, otherwise nobody's going to consider it. And we did. And we met with the township committee at that time, and they thought it was pretty good, and they said, well, let's send it over to the planning board, and then the fun started as they went through the master plan. The comments were made by Mr. Green that certainly there was enough time for everybody to speak, and everybody did speak, and the objectors were well organized and put out their the problems, traffic, emissions, noise, test drives, and the same. The township had its planner and engineer respond. We had our people explain what we thought, and we thought we made a good case as to why it should change. Everybody knows that office space there's a glut of it. Mayors of both parties spoke in favor of it, and I think the township is aware of this as a township committee, although right now it's only a policy decision by the planning board. You will eventually have to make the decision one way or the other, if you do, as to whether or not this would be approved or not. So, in fact, it's far from over, and I understand that, and that's your obligation. With regard to after the recent meeting, when Mr. Katina stated what he had stated, I called, actually I called Susan, and left word that we would like to meet with the people from Greenfield and discuss with them their issues, because we are looking to help them and not create a problem. What are their needs in the event that we're able to get going? I thought actually we were going to get some cooperation, but obviously we didn't. But in any event, we're here, and Mr. Katina, who can't be here this week, has said, and wherever he goes, he's perfectly willing to meet with anybody and everybody if, in fact, the township thinks this is a good idea to take care of their issues. And so there wouldn't be this concern. And I thank you, and that's all I really have to say. But we're here, and we're not running away, and raise a good citizen.
Thank you. And Susan, did you wish to speak?
The never-ending saga. I just want to clarify a few things. Am I allowed to play a tape, a voicemail?
Roger, that would be your
left on my phone that was just referenced? Well, you think about it and let me know.
Who is the...
Mr. Sonnenblick left this message on my phone.
That must be the message I called and asked Susan to call me so we could meet.
Right.
So what difference what I say?
Do you have a problem with it?
That's not me to make a decision, it's the board.
Okay, let me pull the board.
I don't think it's relevant, by the way, if I...
Well, the reason it's relevant to me is the fact that nowhere was any Manalapan resident asked to be present at a meeting that was said for the article that he wrote. And it also said in that article that in retaliation for me not answering him, I'll start from the beginning. February 12th, I sent a letter of thanks for the support of whomever spoke at the February 9th meeting. February 12th was a Sunday. I sent it to 3 papers. I sent it to the Manalapan Patch, I sent it to the Transcript, and I sent it to the press. February 13th, the Patch ran the letter. The Transcript sent a response that it was too late for that issue, it wouldn't make it until the 15th, and they didn't post it until today. February 15th, 2 days after it had already run in the paper, my neighbor called me to tell me that she had shared my personal number with Jerry Sonnenblick and that he would be calling my phone, which he did. She told me that he wanted to discuss the fact that they were going to change their application to just a showroom and administrative offices at 200 Route 9. We had already had that conversation because Mr. Katina approached us the night of the 9th with that, and basically what we told him was, this is not our issue. This is not, we are against the changing of the master plan. For your dealership, for whatever, at this point, we are against the changing of the master plan when we don't feel that it's in the best interest of the land and of the residents in the town. So I got this message, and if I were able to play the message, I was uncomfortable, and at the request of my husband, and as well as the neighbors and the other people who can say that I sent out a letter to them asking them, should I respond to this? It's up to you. Everybody came back and said, do not respond. Yesterday, a letter went into the Manalapan Patch saying that my letter had been full of no facts, innuendos, personal attacks, and disingenuous statements. He also stated that I'd sent my letter to the Patch in response to his calls when my letter had run 2 days before he ever called me. It was not my place in this matter to support environmental and pollution issues. I undertook safety and logistic issues from this application concerning the intersection and the neighborhood, in addition to policies and procedures. Had Mr. Sonnenblick been listening, he would have noted that. Putting everything together to be able to make slights against me was unfair to me. Saying I have presented no factual evidence is a lie, as some of you were witness to the volumes of facts that I provided to the planning board. When given the opportunity, I presented my due diligence with as much evidence as I possibly could, including graphs, reports, letters, pictures. I just feel as if I've been treated unfairly. I don't think that I had to receive a letter, a message on my personal phone number. And I don't think I've done anything wrong in not responding. So I don't deserve being attacked in a newspaper because I was asked not to respond and did what I was asked.
Thank you. Point of order, please.
Wait,
Sorry,
excuse me. Mr. Sonnenblick.
you can't
No.
come back.
Okay.
No.
Sorry. No, don't worry. Okay. So before we have Mrs. Garagano read back everything that we heard, I know at the last meeting we discussed about speaking about the planning board and the application and so forth. So as we read the questions, I'd like you to guide us on what we can answer and what we can't.
I'd be happy to do that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. The first speaker was George Spodak. He had asked, what was the Township Committee's justification for closed interviews for the WMUA Commissioner position?
Okay, can you just wait a second? Are you having trouble hearing? Okay. If you could get the microphone a little bit closer, you don't have to
Sure.
repeat it, but, okay.
This might be better.
I'm sorry? You can't hear me either? I thought I was screaming. Sorry. No, it's okay, thank you. I thought I was screaming, so, okay. What was the, I'm sorry.
What was the justification for the TC's decision to have...
Would you like me to handle that one, Mayor? Interviews with applicants for positions is something that falls within the personnel exception to the Open Public Meetings Act and are typically handled in private session, and that's why we did that.
Okay, the next question.
His second question was regarding the master plan. He had asked, did anyone ever see a farmer or a landowner ask for a zone change wherein they weren't going to personally profit?
I don't really think that needs an answer, right? That was a rhetorical question?
I think so.
Was that a rhetorical, that was a rhetorical question. You were making a statement, not a, okay, thank you. Okay, go ahead.
The next speaker was David Finkelstein. These questions relate to the master plan. The first question is, what is the accepted approach to change the system for a petition?
To change the
system or process for getting names for a petition?
I didn't understand the question, to be honest with you, what was asked.
When one of the residents wanted to bring a petition to the planning board, Mr. Cucchiaro said that they were not able to because those that had signed the petition were not present to be...
Okay. The land use law governs what's known as protest petitions. Protest petitions have nothing to do with the planning board at all. Under the land use law, if an ordinance is introduced by the governing body, there is a process for the filing of protest petitions, but there's nothing to do with the planning board process at all.
The two questions were confused, if I can clarify the question.
Okay, let her read the other question.
Sure.
And then I'll let you, if it's not correct.
The first question that I had read?
No, the second one.
The second question is, how is a proposal submitted for master plan revision?
Was that your second question? Okay.
And there is no formal process. If you want to change to the master plan, or you want to change to the zoning ordinance, you can do that by a letter request to the governing body. You can do it at the microphone at a meeting. There's no formal zone change process or master plan process.
Like just show up and ask. I like that.
Okay, thank you. The next question?
The next question was, how can he go about obtaining the dates of meetings between township officials and Katina?
I don't know of any.
Again, a letter request or an Open Public Records Act request would cover that, as would, there was a question about obtaining vouchers or bills, I guess. That's an Open Public Records Act request you file with the township clerk.
So if we do that without the dates, will they need the
I don't think there were any.
You can ask for notes, you can ask for notes or minutes of meetings, and you can specify.
I don't believe that there were any formal meetings that anyone has any notes to give for Ray Katina, that I'm aware of. If anybody is aware of any, I would appreciate you speaking up. But
There was an initial staff meeting that took place with Katina representatives and staff members, professionals, attorneys, and the planner. But that was not a formal meeting, so there wouldn't be minutes that were taken to the meeting.
meetings at all?
Well, I just told you there was a meeting. I mean, there might be individual people who had notes, but that's not a formal meeting. There's no minutes taken. There's no agenda for the meeting. Those sorts of meetings are conducted all the time with people who want to ask for things or request information. So it's not a formal meeting process.
the next question.
The last question, which may need some clarification, can Katina make a test drive route without it being in the master plan? Is that correct?
I don't remember that. Sorry.
No. No, I didn't ask that.
Okay, I had heard, I had heard you say something about test driving through the neighborhood. No? Okay.
Okay.
My mistake.
I
No,
think
what he
you're,
said was that there would still be test drives in the neighborhood, car carriers.
Oh, that wasn't a question.
It wasn't a
It was just
question.
statement.
Okay.
It was a statement.
Okay, very good.
Okay.
The next speaker, I'll go on to the next question, was from Gloria Close. She asked, regarding a meeting that we had, which you had answered her question last meeting, she referenced a newspaper article that she had seen regarding a township committee stipend, and I believe you had responded that that stipend in that newspaper article was actually a medical waiver.
Right. And in other words, the employees, if they do not take the township insurance, they can get a stipend towards that insurance. As far as the township committee, when you waive your insurance, you get nothing. So in 2007, when I came on and I said I would not take the insurance, I didn't get anything for not taking the insurance, nor do any of us that waived it get anything, so there's nothing to give up. We are not eligible.
Not anymore, no.
I don't think we were eligible in 2007 either. We might have been. Okay. We were. Okay.
When I quoted the newspaper, they just totally relinquished.
No, their insurance stipend.
And that is not that
Yeah, I know.
lost their stipend.
No, the stipend for the health and medical benefits.
They're also
It's not, Ms. Close, this is not the time for argument. You asked a question, you got an answer, okay? Ms. Close, please.
Wait, what was the other part of that?
Ms. Close then asked about our committee stipends, and how is it that our governing body can vote on their own stipends?
Okay, can you address that, Mrs. Loveridge, please?
Sure, we do a salary ordinance every year, such as we're doing tonight, and we also do a salary resolution. The governing body hasn't had an increase in their stipend since 2005, so that number's been flat for all those years. I mean, I think we could talk about the fact that that's just the law, that the governing body votes on any salaries given out.
Exactly.
There's no
Right.
conflict legally to do that, but the governing body hasn't had an increase. There's been some decreases over the years when Mr. Lucas waived his stipend, but there's been no increases since 2005.
Thank you.
The next speaker was Jerry Sonnenblick. I don't believe he had any
I
questions.
think she had one other question.
And then Susan Herthenrother, if I'm saying that correctly, her questions also stemmed regarding the master plan change. I wasn't quite sure what the question was.
I understand, okay, maybe you should address it, because in my opinion, we cannot control what Mr. Sonnenblick writes in a newspaper, nor can I control what you write in the newspaper. And America, we have the right to say what we want. So that's a personal thing you have to take up with Mr. Sonnenblick. It has nothing to do with the Township Committee. I can't tell Mr. Sonnenblick you can't write the letter. I can't tell you that you can't write the letter, and I can't tell the papers they can't print them. So, I understand that you wanted to express it to us, but I don't unfortunately have any control over what he says.
My question, was there anything that, did the township have any stance on the way residents are
We don't even have,
received and treated in their opportunity to speak at public comment sessions?
Well, I understand that to be the question, but let me just say this. Let me make an observation, if I may.
Sure, please.
The fact of the matter is that both the Planning Board and the Township Committee entertain public comment at various times and in various ways. Applicants, any applicant, any property owner, any property purchaser, prospective purchaser, any resident or non-resident who is interested in property has the right to ask for anything they want. They can apply for anything they want. The master plan is something that the planning board handles. The zoning ordinance is something that the governing body handles. The municipal land use law is very detailed and very lengthy in terms of what the process is. There's nothing wrong with people asking for anything. It's up to those bodies to handle their respective responsibilities. With respect to how an applicant deals with objectors or potential objectors, there's nothing wrong with applicants reaching out to neighboring property owners. There's nothing wrong with applicants sitting down and discussing matters with objectors, with property owners. I mean, that's generally a process that's encouraged under the land use law. It's permitted under the land use law. There's no policy with respect to that. But oftentimes, people who have problems or objections or questions to applications will discuss that with applicants, and there'll be modifications to an application to take into account what those objections may be, and that's something that is part of the process, and there's no objection to that by the Township Committee or the Planning Board. That's part of the process. So there's nothing unusual about that. Now, how you all are getting along or not getting along, that's really up to you, and that's your business, and not the governing bodies and not the planning boards. But that's part of the process.
Thank you. That was it? Okay, is there anybody else that has anything to say that did not sign in? Seeing none, I'll close public comments. And we'll go to our workshop session. Under legal, Mr. McLaughlin?
Thank you, Mayor. Just one item I have this evening, and that is a request to utilize a township drainage easement. Correspondence was forwarded to the governing body about this. This involves a subdivision known as Tuscany at Manalapan 2. There are 4 lots, a couple of them front on Burke Street, a couple of them front on Sanford Street. JCP&L has requested permission to run some electrical lines and locate a couple of transformer boxes in an area that's covered by the township's drainage easement. I've looked at the easement. It's non-exclusive. The engineer's office has reviewed and worked with the JCP&L and have come up with an approved plan that allows them to co-locate within the drainage easement. It will not interfere with the function of the easement for drainage purposes. So the engineer's office would recommend, and so would I, that the governing body allow that to go forward so those electrical facilities could be extended to those homes. And if the committee is in agreement, we'll put that on for new business tonight as a resolution authorizing JCP&L to utilize that easement in accordance with the plan approved by the engineer's office.
Thank you. Do you have anything else?
That's all I have.
That's all you have. Okay, engineering, Mr. Valesi?
Listed under me is the professional services for the recreation concession building. This is basically services that would be required to permit Manalapan Baseball to implement concession building on the Manalapan Recreation Center property. Our work would involve the preparation of the site plan, limited contract documents, and construction administration. We've met with Manalapan Baseball Public Works to help them site the building, prepare the utility plans, and do whatever they need to do to get it up and running, and that's the purpose of that authorization.
Thank you. And our clerk?
Thank you, Mayor. We have several items of new business that were discussed in executive that are going to be acted on tonight. A resolution appointing a summer recreation coordinator, a resolution appointing supervisory staff for 2012 for the summer rec program, a resolution appointing a member to the WMUA, Mary Ann Musich, resolution appointing auditor for budget work, which is Bowman and Company. And also, I have the second item is Carly Wine's 5-mile walk run. We've received a letter requesting permission to hold the run. This is the 6th annual run that they'll be having along the same route as last year, and they work closely with the police, my office, and other departments in the township to make this run successful. So if the committee has no objections, or if there's any concerns in relation to the run, to let me or the police department know so that we can relay that over to the organization.
Have they decided on a date yet?
Yes, May 20th.
May 20th. Okay, great. Thank you.
And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Mrs. Leverage,
Thank you, Mayor. I have a few resolutions tonight. The first resolution I have is approving and authorizing an execution of a shared service agreement, and that's with Freehold Township for IT services. We're looking to continue that relationship, and that will continue through the end of the year, December 31st, 2012. The next resolution I have is an annual resolution we have to do appointing a risk management consultant according to our joint insurance fund agreement. The next resolution I have is authorizing the execution of a bus rental agreement, and that's for our summer recreation program. And this is another shared service we do with the school board, and that we share costs with them, that we don't have to pay anything for the buses for our summer recreation program. The next resolution we have is amending our Family Medical Leave Act policy, FMLA. This is a law put into place, and we had adopted a plan in 2002. We amended it again in 2003, and as the law changes and updates, we'd like to amend it again and put it in place for all of our employees. It's been reviewed by Roger's office. Recommendations have been changed regarding our forms that we give out to our employees and just updating the policy. So we'd like to have that resolution amending that. Our final resolution that I have here is the grant from the Office of Aging, and this keeps our senior center running, and that's accepting the conditions of our 2012 grant. And then there were two more that we had to add on, and that was amendments that we had to make to a purchase agreement that the police department had regarding computer-mounted console and lighting siren system, and the purchase of mobile vehicle recorders and laptop computers. This was under state contract, and we're trying to get all the pieces together here, so these were another recommendation from our police department. And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone that needs anything removed for separate discussion for our consent agenda? Seeing none, I will take a motion to approve the consent agenda as listed.
So moved.
Thank you, and may I have a second? I'll second it. Roll call, please.
Mr. Green?
I'm a no on item F. I'm abstaining from item G. And I'm a yes on everything else.
Okay.
Mr. Holland?
Yes. Yes.
Mr. Lucas?
Yes.
Mr. Maskowitz?
Yes.
Mrs. Cohen?
Yes. I see there is no old business. New business, Mrs. Leverage?
Yes, Mayor, we'll go, my mic's not on. Okay, the first resolution we have is approving the bill list dated February 9, 2012, February 22nd, 2012, totaling $7,755,542.60.
Okay, does anyone need anything taken out of the bill list? Seeing none, I'd like to accept the motion to pass the bill list.
I'll move that.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Holland?
Yes.
Mr. Lucas?
Yes.
Mr. Maskowitz?
Yes.
Mrs. Cohen?
Yes.
Virginia, you want me to do the rest of the resolutions or go to the introduction of the ordinance here?
We can go to the ordinance
I
right now.
can,
Okay. Go ahead, Mayor.
Okay, we have an ordinance introduction and first reading, ordinance number 2012-01, an ordinance fixing and determining certain salaries and duties of certain officers and employees of the Township of Manalapan in the County of Monmouth and State of New Jersey, and repealing any and all other ordinances inconsistent therewith. I will take a motion to introduce and set a public hearing for March 14, 2012.
So moved.
Thank you, and may I have a second, please?
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Holland?
Yes.
Mr. Lucas?
Yes.
Mr. Maskowitz?
Yes.
Mrs. Cohen?
Yes, thank you. I will now make the following mayoral appointments: to the Environmental Commission, Jack Eisner, and to the Senior Citizens Affairs Advisory Committee, Carol E. Trifon. Any other new items, Mrs. Leverage?
Yes, I have I think I have 4 resolutions, or maybe 5. The first one we'll start with is an appointing our summer rec coordinator.
May I have?
Administrator, could we do a joint resolution on the 5 items?
Could we separate out?
After the first one.
Okay.
Thank you.
I think we could do 1 and 2 together. The first resolution would be appointing a summer recreation coordinator, which would be Amy Becker, and the second one is appointing supervisory staff for 2012 summer recreation program. If we could do those together.
Okay, do I have a motion to pass that?
So moved.
Thank you, and a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Green?
Abstain.
Mr. Holland?
Yes.
Mr. Lucas?
Yes.
Mr. Maskowitz?
Yes.
Mrs. Cohen?
Yes.
Okay, Mayor, and we could do the last 3 together if everybody's okay with that. I have a resolution appointing a member to the WMUA, which is Mary Ann Musich. I have a resolution appointing Bowman and Company as auditor for budget work for 2012, and then the resolution that Roger mentioned under his report, allowing JCP&L to use a township drainage easement to locate certain facilities regarding the Tuscany at Manalapan 2 project.
Okay, thank you. May I have a motion to accept?
So moved.
And a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Holland?
Yes.
Mr. Lucas?
Yes.
Mr. Maskowitz?
Yes.
Mrs. Cohen?
Yes. Does anyone have anything else?
I do have the 2 more, I'm sorry, I added to my report. I'm sorry. Resolution authorizing the purchases of the computer monitors. I lost my cheat sheet. Resolution authorizing the purchase of computer-mounted console and lighting siren system for the police department, and a resolution amending the purchase of the motor vehicle recorders and laptop computers for the police department.
Is there any discussion required on those? Okay, I'd like to take a motion to approve. I'll make that motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Holland?
Yes.
Mr. Lucas?
Yes.
Mr. Maskowitz?
Yes.
Mrs. Cohen?
Yes. Okay, now, does anybody have anything else? Seeing that we have no more business, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We are now adjourned. I'd like to call the public portion of the meeting to order. Let's stand for a moment of silence and a salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Tonight, we have no appearances, so we're going to start with our Township Committee reports. Committeeman Lucas, would you like to start us off, please?
Thank you, Mayor. I just have one item tonight, and that is to alert our residents to a newer initiative that was brought forth by our Economic Development Committee and the Chamber of Commerce, working in conjunction to hold an event on February 28th at the Monmouth County Library here in Manalapan from 5 to 7:30 p.m. And the purpose of the evening is to encourage businesses in Manalapan to be able to interact with other residents and with other businesses, and it should be a really good event, and I would just encourage everyone to make an effort to attend. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Committeeman Moskowitz.
Thank you, Mayor. On the recreation front, we are holding our open house for the summer program on Tuesday, February 28th at 7 p.m. in the high school auditorium. Registration for the program will begin on Thursday, March 8th at 9 a.m. Information regarding the program will be available on the Township website Friday, February 24th. And the last thing I have on the WMUA front is the Western Monmouth Utilities Authority adopted its 2012 budget at its public meeting on Thursday, January 26th, 2012. The budget, please note that the budget, as introduced, does not include an increase in user charge rates. The authority's 2012 budget can be viewed on WMUA's website at www.wmua.manalapan.newjersey.us. Thank you. That's it, Mayor.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Holland.
Good evening. I've attended several K through 8 school board meetings, but there's the teacher's contract has gone through arbitration, and now they're at fact-finding, whatever that means. So we're in the process of doing our budgets and contract negotiations, but I have nothing specific to report, so that's it.
Thank you. Committeeman Green.
Thank you. Tomorrow evening, we have a planning board meeting here at the Municipal Center. One of the items being discussed is the proposed amendment to the master plan. At our previous meeting, our township planner, Rich Kramer, presented a report with an analysis regarding the amendment to the master plan. And